friends, welcome back. Episode 3 with Coach Colleen and Coach Cory. Happy almost New Year. Before we came on, we were just talking about how this is, especially for ag teachers, like the calm before the storm, right? Cory, back when you were teaching, what would you be thinking, feeling this time of the year with like January 1st, 2 days, 2 days away?
So, I mean, when you were looking forward to this Christmas break thing that we so speak of, this
Yeah.
mirage called Christmas break, uh, the whole time, I mean, we had 3 weeks off, I think, when I was at Madeira, and the shitty part of it all was the end of Christmas break was, like, dedicated to getting ready for our dinner dance. So our
Mm,
dinner dance was at the end of January, kind of after, or pre-harvest type deal.
yeah.
Um, it was it was intense. It was my first year. I'm like, what the hell did I sign up for? Because you got all these projects going on, and I was the diesel teacher. I wasn't even part of the fabrication, but we were all kind of expected to help, and it was a collective group effort, which was cool.
Yeah.
But it was literally like, yeah, like any holidays, stuff like that. When you came back, you had to be there and try to coax kids into being there with pizza or whatever it was. So it really was like 0 to 100 again. So knowing that was coming my second year, I'm like, this could be interesting because at that point in time, coming out of Christmas break, you're trying to get your CDE team, together and ready to go. Some people start before, but I feel like that kind of burns kids out a little bit. Um, so I would start kind of assembling that team, putting the word out there, starting to have them practice 1 to 2 times a week, and then trying to do the dinner dance stuff. And it's like, how the hell do you have time for anything else at that point? And then you have all your other responsibilities through the department
Sure.
and teaching 6, 7 classes, whatever you're teaching, right? And doing that effectively, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Um, it was tough, especially I think it wasn't until my second year teaching where I actually decided to get my shit together, mentally, physically,
Yeah.
and trying to prioritize that during that season it was difficult. I mean, mentally, I don't think you really can be prepared for it. You just have to have the fortitude to just like, okay, made it through another day. Tomorrow I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna go get
Yep.
some and do it again. Right. And just kind of keep that mentality and push through. But it wasn't easy. I don't know what you did to kind of get through those times.
Very similar, very similar. I mean, there would be days where, God, not even one day at a time, I'd have a checklist so long of tasks that had to be accomplished, like work related, department related tasks that needed to be accomplished before the break was over. And it would be one item at a time, and how many of those can I get checked off today so that tomorrow feels a little less heavy, Um, very, very similar experience. The things that would be just based on my responsibilities in the department that I was at, I would be spending countless hours digging through kids' AET record books, right? Um, which I still remember what it was like to flip to flip through the paper books, like you do it enough times where you could just grab it and boom, you'd like be on the page that you wanted to be just by feel.
Right.
Because when we would come back after the holiday break, for me it was state degrees are due, towards the end of January. State degrees are due, proficiencies come due, kids applying for Sacramento leadership experience, people running for state office, regional offices, like all that stuff starts happening in that same month period that you come back. And it's just like, woo, okay, and then you've got like benchmarks and goals, and we had X number of kids earn their degree last year. How many is it going to be this year? How close are they? What are they doing in their other ag classes that I have no control over, but I'm still the one that's, wearing the cap that says like, I'm in charge of getting the state degrees submitted effectively with no issues, right? like, so sorry, regional supervisors. It was a lot. And I think it's fair to say, and a lot of people that are even connected to teachers, if they're not an ag teacher, they don't understand that when we're on a break, we're not really on a break, because we are utilizing that time to try and get ahead, because there's so many different things that we're looking at, and when you come into January, it happens so quick. You come out of that holiday break, kids are back on campus, and it's go time. Your weekends turn into field days and conferences and contests, and yeah, it was a number, especially when you add on like the little people that actually live in your home, and you had to make like Christmas magical and be nice, and that would be a challenge also. But yeah, what so for those thinking about our friends that are still in the profession, right? And they're now in the seats that we left empty, and they're looking towards the new year this weekend. Basically, like the way we're talking about it, this would probably be the toughest time to start taking bites out of that elephant and create new habits or create a new system for yourself if you've got big goals, personal and otherwise. But when we've talked, we've also said that the toughest time is also the best time to make those changes. Do you want to talk a little bit? Why do you think the toughest time is the best time?
I think it kind of puts your character on display, in my opinion. The fall is a lot, and again, it varies from where you work, right? And kind of where
Oh,
your
yeah.
what your fair schedules look like, and kind of how busy your fall is compared to your spring. But
Mhm.
I think most ag teachers, or even former ag teachers like ourselves, can agree that the springtime is definitely a lot more hectic and demanding and time consuming than the
Yeah.
fall typically is, right? And so, being able to uh maintain, or not maintain is a terrible word, being able to engage in that personal development piece
Mm,
and prioritize yourself in the
yeah.
busiest time of the year. And it doesn't matter what profession you're in, to be honest. Whatever your busy time of the year is, to be able to prioritize yourself and do what you need to do to be taking those steps and grow, that's where you're going to see the most growth the quickest, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. I don't work in the ag ed realm anymore, but I work in agriculture still. Being a service manager at an ag equipment dealership in Idaho, I
Mhm.
mean, we get between 4 to 6 solid months of winter, which means there is anywhere between 6 to 8 months of farm time.
Yeah.
Like, that's go time for these guys, and they don't have time to fuck around. And so that time is very, very demanding. My phone is ringing off the hook. I'm trying to keep guys busy, which usually isn't an issue there. But I mean, you
Yeah.
know, you wear a lot of different freaking hats in that summertime realm, especially during hay season over here. And it's like, if I didn't prioritize my fitness, if I still wasn't going to the gym, in the mornings, and doing, reading my 10 pages and kind of just zoning out a little bit, um, doing my morning routine, especially,
Yeah.
I would have burnt the hell out like real quick. So saying that and knowing that, it takes me back to when I was teaching and before I had decided to actually get my life together, personally. What the hell did I do then?
Mhm.
I just literally, the only things I remember from that time in terms of like the spring was just being exhausted all the time. Like, I think people are under the impression that if they're prioritizing themselves during that time, that it takes too much energy and they're
Yeah.
going to be more tired.
Yeah.
That's complete opposite,
Uh-huh.
despite what you've been made to believe. Like,
Sure.
I actually felt better and more able to overcome those obstacles and the demands of that time by prioritizing myself. I'm like, all right, look, and this is just my schedule, right? I'm not saying this has to be everybody's, but from 4 a.m. to 6 in the morning, I'm not fucking thinking about work. I'm not thinking about nothing. I'm thinking about me. and I'm getting me right and going to battle with my demons before the day starts. That way, anything that's kind of thrown my way, anything that throws me off course, I can adapt and overcome more easily. Versus the people that are waking up at 6 and then just dragging ass to work and
Yes.
then trying to drink sodas at 3 o'clock just to keep them awake. And now they're having these 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock nights because of
Yeah.
a dinner dance, because of
Mhm.
fair time, because of coaching CDE teams or whatever, or FFA meetings. I don't know how I made it through. To be
Mhm.
honest,
Mhm.
I don't know how I was actually able to overcome that. I mean, maybe I was just too stupid to quit, but I I don't know. But yeah, that would be my biggest recommendation is like right now is the time to get your shit together. We're ringing in the new year. A lot of people have that New Year's resolution in the back of their head, right? And on Monday, this is going to be the time it all changes for them. Well, fucking prove it.
Yeah.
Honestly, stick to it. What's going to make it stick this year? What's going to allow you to commit to it this year and push through? Look at the coach you become if you do commit to it. If you commit to yourself,
Mhm.
look at the coach you become, look at the teacher you become, look at the colleague, coworker you become,
Mhm.
look at the parent or partner that you become. I mean, you will see drastic differences and everybody around you
Oh,
will see it too.
I'm gonna give you like a amen on a Saturday.
We're a day early.
Serious, but when you're talking, there was a word you used that stood out to me, and in kind of an ironic way, but you mentioned routine a little bit. And I think it's I don't ironic, I think is the right word to use here. But when I reflect back on my time in the profession, there's so much about what we do as an ag teacher that revolves around routine. And there's unspoken routines, right? Like there's the routines we have during the dinner dance times of the year where everybody is on campus till ungodly hours of the night, getting the projects done, getting stuff set up. There's routine where like what time of the day one of your coworkers is going to go do a Starbucks run. Sometimes it's more than once, right? You know what everybody's drink is when it's morning time, you know what their drink's going to be in the afternoon, right? There's routine in that, and we normalize it and we celebrate it. And I'm not shading Starbucks or Dutch Bros or anywhere else. You do you. I'm just pointing out there's routines embedded in so much of what we do as an ag teacher. But if we took a minute to just pause and get intentional with the routines that we were choosing, everybody could level up so much quicker. Everybody could be so much more effective in all of the hats, like you mentioned, all of the hats that you wear, personally and professionally. And I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that I made early on. Early on as an ag teacher, even when I was first married before I had kids, um, thinking about the routines or lack thereof that I had, I could kind of just come and go as I needed to. I ate what I wanted, did what I wanted in my free time. I didn't have to be like terribly intentional about it. But time goes on, right? Your profession evolves. I changed departments that I was working at. I got married. I had a miscarriage. I had two kids. Like life happened, right? And all of a sudden, I had to get real intentional with my time. As you know now, having a newborn, like, right? Things change, and then you have to figure out how to make adjustments. And I think the people that force themselves to be accustomed with routine and building habits that are sustainable, those are the ones that during the toughest times will be able to grab onto that grit and break through those walls, break through the barriers.
It's
But
it's wild that you say that because, and thinking about it, listening to you, I'm thinking like, well, what are some examples of this? I dicked around the entire time my wife was pregnant.
yeah.
Like, oh, I want to start this online business or maybe open a gym, but I don't have the
Mhm.
capital. But like, it wasn't important to me at that time, right? And I was just kind of still in that procrastination, um, just kind of foregoing the opportunities to do things because oh, I'm tired, right? Like, or I got this excuse or that excuse.
Sure.
And then I have a baby.
Uh-huh.
My wife and I have our baby, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it was that looking into that kid's eyes, or maybe it was just the fact that shit just got real. But everything like escalated in
Yeah.
terms of development. I started my business during that time.
Hmm.
We started this YouTube channel during that time.
Hmm.
You and I had started messaging on Facebook, I think probably in June,
Yeah.
maybe July, and it was just kind of back and forth a little bit, but there wasn't nothing really transpired there.
Right.
We didn't have our first meeting and figure out that this was going to be a thing until after my kid was born. So
Yeah.
these people that have all these bullshit excuses as to, well, I just don't have time for that. You do have time. You're not making it a priority because
Yep.
it's not important to you. It's not important to you yet.
Yeah.
What is going to make it important to you? Like,
And
do
that's
you
and
want to
that's
be great?
okay, right? Yeah. I think I think a major skill set, if you will, that I wish more people would realize would serve them so well. Extreme accountability, extreme ownership. And I had a call with my personal business mentor yesterday to kind of strategize some things that I want to accomplish in 24. And during the phone call, I told her, I was like, full stop right here, boom, boom, boom. And there's some stuff I didn't do that great this year. Now I crushed it in certain areas, but there's some things that I didn't do that great this year. And I can own it. And I can bring that to her and say, hey, how do I change this? What do I do to tweak this piece? And she gave me an absolute black and white answer. I have full clarity heading into the new year, right? But I think especially in ag ed, where there's so much normalizing certain things and the societal pressures and acceptance, and I think we make it too scary or not okay or a sign of weakness for some reason for people to be able to like stand their ground and say, hey, here's how I effed up, right? Or here's where I totally freaking sucked. Who can I talk to in our profession that can help me work on this piece? Who can mentor me in this area, right? Own it. There's so much strength in that. There's so much empowerment in that, but we avoid the things we're not good at and we cover it up with, I'm so busy, or this is my schedule. And especially this time of year, this like kind of unicorn week between Christmas and New Year's, where everybody's like in reflection mode and ready to hit the new year to like change everything and cure cancer, but like they don't think that they're going to actually change their habits or routines first to make that stuff happen. And I'm not judging, I'm just like, oh boo, like let's have a conversation so I can actually help you do those things. It will not happen. It will not happen if you don't schedule your priorities. You've got to decide what's important to you first, and then there's nothing that's going to get in the way of that. But especially as teachers, if it doesn't fall between the hours of like 8 and 5, I think people think it's too crazy to like make shit happen.
Yep.
You might have to get up earlier. There's nothing crazy about that. There's people all over the world that get up early,
Mhm.
Ed Milet, Brennan Burchard, like Trent Shell. There's massively successful people that get up at the butt crack of dawn to do the things that you're talking about, right? To face those demons, to get themselves right with the world before they start encountering other people, right? They have routines at nighttime.
Mhm.
Like it's simple stuff, but when you apply it with intention, that's where I think all the game changing like really happens.
Well, that's a good point that you make, and like you said, your business coach kind of made everything black and white, and like
Yeah.
these are the things you crushed it on this year. These are the areas you need to improve, right?
Yep.
The difference between the two is execution.
Hmm.
Period. Right? You're gonna fail either way. The things that you did well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you had some failures there, or some times where you got knocked down and had to overcome those, right? Same thing on the things that you didn't do as well, right? You probably had some successes there.
Hmm.
All of the success revolves around the execution of the game plan,
Yep.
right? So that's the biggest issue, ag teachers, the rest of the fucking world at this point. When Monday, when you wake up Monday morning and it's January 1st,
Mhm.
your little game plan that you've worked, thought about and kind of dabbled in the last few days, or maybe the last few weeks, this is the year it's going to change me.
Mhm.
Is it? What are you going to do different this time? How do you execute? You have the game plan. If you really do,
Yeah.
execute, do it, commit to it,
Mhm.
be the best you can. And part of that too, like you talked about, there's kind of a the ag ed community can be a little bit like, what are you doing? You're
Mhm.
not doing what I'm doing, so
Right.
you're wrong,
Yes.
which is total bullshit in my opinion. And I kind of hope that offends a few people because it pisses me off. It's like, oh, well, you're not here suffering with us. You're, spending a little extra time in the morning committing to, working out or whatever it is that you're doing. And then
Mhm.
you're going to get judged for that.
Mhm.
It makes my blood boil. The thing
Yeah.
is, though, is those people are pissed that they're not doing it. And
Mhm.
that's part of the problem
Mhm.
because they're not executing on the goals they know that could take them to that next level. And they're
Exactly.
watching you do it and prioritize yourself.
Yep.
And they're pissed because you're not suffering with them.
Mhm.
That's total bullshit. But the thing is I know that because I've been on both ends of it. I've
Yep.
been on the judgmental end. Who the hell does this guy think he is? He can go do that. And then I'm sitting here stuck, having to work on projects. Like, dude, suck it up. You could do the same exact thing. You're a grown ass adult. Like,
Mhm.
nobody's holding you to the
Oh,
standard other than yourself.
yeah.
So, commit to that process, commit to yourself, and see what
Mhm.
happens there.
Mhm.
If you execute on that, I guarantee you will see strides and your life will look a whole lot different.
Oh, that's you and I have talked about that a lot. And in some of my conversations this week with clients that I coach and different things, that has been the root of the conversation that um like there's even been, I remember at summer conference, there had been some different sessions where it was like, uh, here's how to come into the profession as a new ag teacher. Here's like the right kinds of things to do and say and wear and be. And it just wasn't it. You know what I mean? And I think about how differently I show up in life today versus 3 years ago, let alone when I was first starting my career in ag ed. And it's night and day. And it's not because I haven't cured cancer, right? Like I haven't found world peace. Like the stuff that changed, I stopped drinking soda. I go to bed earlier. I wake up really freaking early. And I do. I face my demons early in the morning from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. I get the most work done. I get my workout in. I get some Zoom work sessions in. I get all the must have things done for my day done by 6 a.m. when everybody else is about to wake up. And the energy and enthusiasm that I have the rest of the day, I'm bringing my best self to all of those things, right? Like my husband gets the best wife, not the tired, shitty, like bitchy wife. Let's be honest. I mean, I'm amazing, but like I can be a little much if I'm in a bad
We
mood.
all can. We all can
My
be.
kids, they get the best mom, not the like what's left over mom, because I just exhausted myself on campus. And that's not a shade to education. It's not a shade to ag ed. The way that a lot of us are kind of preconditioned to go about functioning in that space is just not effective. So you and I talked about before we came on, if we were to put ourselves right back in that ag ed space, and we've got our friends that are hopefully going to be watching this and gleaning some information from it. What 2 to 3 things, if we could kind of quantify this a little bit, to use some agri-science vernacular, right? If we could quantify it, give me like 2 to 3 things that you would suggest someone in ag ed right now, doesn't matter if they're year 1 or year 25, what would you tell them to do, assuming this is somebody that wants 24 to be different? 2 to 3 things that they could actually like go out and do today, tomorrow, and make it happen.
So, and this is more of a metaphor than maybe an action, but there's a nuance to it. For some people, for most people, there's a mountain to move,
Yeah.
right? You have all of these things going on in your life, especially if you're a parent or married or whatever, you have that extra element added to it. When I was ag teaching, I was in a relationship, but I wasn't like I wasn't married yet, right? I didn't have kids. So I didn't have that extra element. I could still kind of focus and hone my energy into what it was that I was doing, the profession. For some of you personally, you have a mountain to move,
Mhm.
whether it's losing a bunch of weight, whether it's getting your fucking mind right. And it can be overwhelming to move that mountain, especially in the face of this busy season that's upon you. The best way to move a mountain is to take a shovel and you take the first scoop and you throw that bitch out. You're literally clearing sand off of the beach. The first day, it's not going to look like much. The fifth day, the second week, it's not going to look like much. But after a month, after 2 months, you start to see this development and realize that it's you that's executing on these things every single day. If you can start that right now, before this busy season gets into full swing, imagine how effective and deliberate you can be during the busy season.
Mhm.
I mean, you have a grand opportunity right at your fingertips, and you know that, but you haven't done anything about it. For new teachers, especially, develop those habits now
Mhm.
because they're much harder to develop 2, 3, 5 years in. Because to your point, Colleen, you get to this routine of spring where it's living off of Starbucks and sodas in the afternoon just to keep you going. You know, you're getting food wherever you can get it, usually burritos or
Mhm.
fast food, right? Um, it's okay to prioritize yourself and still make those good decisions and focus on those first, because ultimately that's what's going to allow you to be successful in everything that you do. I promise you that you will see that. The second thing is if you have the opportunity to go home and you're done with your shit, go home. Like, yeah, you might get judged for it because other people are still there doing shit that they probably procrastinated on, or bit off more than they could chew. That's their decision. Okay. If they ask you to help with it, that's fine. And you're willing, that's fine. But you need to prioritize yourself. If you do not, going back to my first recommendation, if you do not, they're just going to pull you into that suffer with me thing, and you're going to suffer with them, and you are not going to get anything done in your own life, and you're going to fall right back into the routine that you were in before. So if you get your shit done and you execute on your day, whether it be professional, personal, whatever it is, go home when you're done. You do not have to be there just because everybody else is there, unless that's something that you are committed to. If you're not, go home and enjoy yourself, and make sure that you're taking that time for yourself, and especially for your family, if that's applicable.
Mhm. Mhm.
What are your thoughts?
Swear, every time you say something, I like write a little note to myself. I'm like, oh, that's good. You talked about, I'm going to take your metaphor and then I'll give you one of the ones that I like. And they're so parallel. It's crazy. But you mentioned how a lot of people likely have a mountain that they have to move. And I think you're right in that what often keeps people from taking action is that we see the mountain and we expect to be able to just find a solution and eliminate the mountain all in one swoop. And that's just not how it works. You've got to do that one shovel at a time. There's I mean, it's a biblical reference, but there's the story about like the mountain and the mustard seed. And I forget where I heard this recently. There was someone else giving a talk that I follow, and he mentioned it in his presentation. And it really just stuck with me because I'd never thought about obstacles in life in quite that way. And he said something to the effect of, the mountain is whatever that mountain is, right? And it could be losing weight, it could be medical situations, it could be like that loss of somebody, whatever. But the size of the mountain is already as great as it will ever be. However big it is right now, however heavy it feels right now, it's at its greatest moment, its greatest capacity, right? The mustard seed, which is you, your potential, who you can become, it has all the potential in the world, right? And you only have everywhere else to grow and expand. And so to me, as you're shoveling and making efforts every single day to remove that mountain, at the same time, you're cultivating, right? You're cultivating that mustard seed and you are becoming that next version of yourself. So it's almost like they kind of it goes hand in hand a little bit. I think once you commit yourself to starting to take action towards letting go of or eliminating whatever that mountain is, you start to become that better version of yourself, right? Through the daily act of that habit and that consistency of working towards it. Some things that I would tell people that maybe want some big change in 24, and maybe they're not quite sure like how to get started. When I think back to where I was before I left the classroom, when I say that I had a Coca-Cola, we'll call it a situation. Addiction makes people think of like the other type of Coke, and I don't want them to think that, right? I
Your
always used to
secret's safe with me.
I know, right? I used to joke with one of my friends on campus. He'd see me like walking around with like my daily fix or whatever. And he was also like heavier set. And we would joke like, if it was the other kind, like neither one of us would have the bodies that we did, you know?
Thought about switching there for a minute.
But yeah. So the first thing that I would say is, if you are someone that has a habit that you could either trim back on or eliminate completely, find a way to trick yourself and trick your schedule. And here's what I mean. As someone who used to drink Coca-Cola every single day, it was really, really hard for me to break that habit. And going cold turkey, like, didn't work because I've tried that many times. What did work was I found an alternative, because here's what I was really doing. Number one, yes, I thought it tasted good because of the sugar component, but what it really was for me, it was drinking out of the straw. It was like that kind of cold burning sensation that you get with the carbonation and the sound of the ice in the cup. It's all the things. Like it was, and oh, I'm treating myself. And oh, my kid that came late to my class, he brought it to me. That makes me feel special. It's all the things. I would trick myself. I would keep my pre-workout packets in the top drawer of my desk. And when I would feel one of those like mid-afternoon slumps coming on, instead of reaching for a Coke, I would reach for that, right? Because it was green tea based, like, clean,
Sure.
didn't have all of the processed stuff in it. And I slowly started just shifting that way. Fast forward, this February, I'll be, this makes it sound real bad. I'll be 3 years clean. No Coca-Cola, no dark soda. 3 years. I never would have thought that was possible 3 years ago. Right.
Sure.
But I did. Once I made the commitment that I wasn't going to drink it anymore. And you could use something like Lent. You could use like different times of the year as like your reason for doing it, in case people are going to tease you about it. Like, oh, I'm not drinking that for XYZ reason. But I would tell my students, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. Don't bring it to me. So if you're going to come late, like bring me a note card and tell me that I'm your favorite teacher or something, but like, don't be bringing me the Coca-Cola anymore. So you've got to trick yourself and trick your schedule. Find the places where you would start cheating on yourself and cheating on your goals, and put something in place that will prohibit you from doing that. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, instead of thinking that you're going to completely overhaul your life on January 1st and it's going to be perfect, you're all of a sudden going to be this like new year, new you. I hate to break it to you. We actually aren't new people in a new year. Like the time passes anyway. What makes us new, or if we want to show up in a different way, we've got to change the things that we do. Otherwise, bottom line is, I'm still today the same person that I was at 18. I've got a hell of a lot more experience. I've done some cooler shit. I've accomplished some things, but like deep down inside, I'm that same person. We've just been growing and expanding this whole time. So what I would say is, number one, trick yourself in your schedule. Don't let it be possible for you to cheat on yourself and your goals. The second thing would be debrief or deconstruct the time that you do have. So if you only have 20 minutes to spare in your schedule right now, because you can't fathom waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning to like do your shit, take 20 minutes at a time and then break it down. Give me 5 minutes every day where you are sitting in a state of gratitude, right? Because what we focus on expands. So instead of focusing on the time you don't have to work out or the time you don't have to write your book or whatever the thing is. 5 minutes of gratitude. I am grateful that I can XYZ. I'm grateful that I get to take my kids to carpool. I'm grateful that I get to pick my daughter up in the middle of the day, right? Coming from that mindset of gratitude, all of a sudden we're seeing all of what we have and we're not focusing on what we don't, right? 5 minutes of mindset work. You could do this during your prep period. You could do this on your bathroom break. You could do it in the car. I don't care where, but you have 5 minutes where you could spend time working on your mindset. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's listening to, I don't know, some killer content on YouTube. Shout out to us, right? 5 minutes, because in order to do the other things like prioritizing health and fitness, like meal prepping and all these other things, you've got to have your mind right first, or else you're never going to make those new decisions. So you've got to keep working on you. 5 minutes of movement. I'm not even talking about a full workout yet. Shit, if you start getting stressed out at school, I used to, on my prep period, one of the first things I would do, even if I was like super freaking busy, I would purposely, because my classroom was way in the back by the football field, I would purposely walk all the way to the office. I'd say hi to all the ladies in the office, make sure they were having a great day, give them some awesome Lawson like spirit. I'd go check my mailbox, grab everybody else's mail, and then I'd deliver on the way back to the classroom. 5 minutes of taking a walk on campus. Like, you can do it. Get up, move your body, get some steps, get some fresh air, right? I've got a friend who every morning, even though she lives in Nebraska, she goes out, there's snow on the ground, she's barefoot, and she goes out for a few minutes every morning with her coffee cup to ground herself. It doesn't take a ton of time to make some real difference. And then the last thing I would say is at nighttime, as much as a morning routine is necessary, and we should probably dig into that someday, you and I, a bedtime or a nighttime routine is just as important. Because if you want to start a new year or a new day like on cloud nine, then it matters how you ended the day, the week, the month, the year before. So 5 minutes in the evening of reflection. What did I win today? Right? Where did I fail? Or where do I still have effort that I could exert tomorrow? How can I make tomorrow better? How can I show up with greater authenticity, more energy, right? Clarity towards my vision and my goals. So again, trick yourself in your schedule, and then whatever time you have, just debrief it, just break it down, deconstruct it into like 5-minute increments. And all of a sudden that big mountain that you're talking about, it doesn't feel as big, because all of a sudden you feel kind of pumped up. You feel bigger than the challenge that you're trying to face.
Those are those small shovel loads that we referred
Yeah.
to earlier, and that's such a great point, Colleen, because that's that, and I've been caught in this mindset. I imagine at one point in your life, or multiple points in your life, I'm sure were caught in that mindset as well, where
Okay.
it's like, I got all this shit that I need to get done, all this shit that I need to do to basically rewire the new me, and I'm just gonna do it all right now, dude. That's cramming. You don't get shit done when you cram. For real. Like,
I
trust
know.
me.
I'm
I was in
one of the
college
least
for 9 years.
people that I know.
Right? Like, I get it. It's procrastination all coming to a head, and it becomes this huge mountain that we talk about and refer to. You're not just going to wake up, as you said, on January 1st and be this new fucking person that's just gonna take it all out. Like,
Yeah.
that is so, so, so rare, if it happens at all.
Yeah.
The little things that you chose to do and those little commitments that you made were just small promises and executions on things that you said you were going to do, that you did. And now all of a sudden, that little 5-minute walk, you're like, you know what? I got some extra time on a prep period today. I'm going to go for a 15-minute walk. I'm going to stretch myself out a little bit. Or that 5-minute piece of gratitude, right? Which I also agree is huge. And I practice daily, twice a day.
Mhm.
This fucking thing is still going to be there, dude. Like, you can use it to do a little guided meditation or whatever is going to help. But
Yeah.
for real, like, the gratitude piece, you are lucky, you are fortunate to be able to actually have a New Year's resolution this year. Because what if this is your last one? You know, what? Nothing's guaranteed past then. So yeah, be able to be happy for what you have and understand that you're going to manifest things based on that because it changes your entire mentality, but it is a slow moving process. And I really appreciate the examples you use there because I think everybody just assumes that one day you wake up and you're just this new savage motherfucker that's just going to do things different. And that is not the case. Like,
Mm-mm.
full disclosure, and I think I've probably told you this before. The first thing that I did after looking in the mirror and seeing this ugly piece of shit that I had become was I started making my bed.
Mhm.
That was the one thing I could control. I started making my bed. It takes me 2 minutes, but it's such a hassle, right?
Yep.
How many people don't make their bed? And they have all the excuses and reasons and whatnot. But making your bed, that 2 minutes in the morning, is you executing on a promise to yourself.
Mhm.
And then that transpires into everything else. So
Like,
it's such small little tasks that you do. And again, we could have a whole episode on this, which I'm actually looking way forward to, but
yeah. No.
it's it's these small tasks that you can do. Start with one and do that and do it well and be intentional with it. And then once you do one well, pick up a second one. And then all of a sudden you start this winning streak and you see this growth and you're like, oh shit, I can actually do this. And
Yeah.
so I
I just got
appreciate.
jazzed when you said that too. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's before we time out, let's each share give me, I don't know, either something that you're striving towards for 24, a key takeaway, or a motivational, just a little motivational moment to bring us to a close.
So some of you that are listening will know that I just started my own business. It's an online coaching business, which I'm really excited about, and it really goes hand in hand here with this YouTube podcast, whatever you want to call it, that Colleen and I have joined together to start. And um, for it's really hard for me to rein in a new year because I really don't give a shit that it's 2024. Like today's 2023, tomorrow will be 2023, and then it's 2024. No, it's fucking Monday is what it is. And Monday is the day when I wake up and usually go get some, just like I do on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What I'm most excited about is for the people who are setting January 1st as their deadline or their time when they're going to transition into this savage of a human being that they want to be, and those that are actually willing to commit to the process, not the people who are just dabbling in it. Like, I appreciate the fact that you're thinking about it, but at the same time, it's not gonna stick with you because you think you're gonna move the mountain overnight. And what makes you so fucking special to be able to do that and nobody else can do that? It's because it's impossible. So for the people that are getting ready to rein in this new year, who Monday is the day that everything changes for them, I'm excited for you. That's what's driving me right now is to be able to work with those types of people and show them that what I've come to learn and taken me 33 years to learn, which is it's another day. And we're so blessed to be here another day. And I'm so blessed to be able to do what I do another day
Yeah.
that the year doesn't matter. Yeah, because 2 weeks into the year, if your New Year's resolution goes away, guess what? Now you got your sights set on a year from now. So 340 days. You think you're fortunate enough to be there or get there? What if you don't? So, anyways, that's what I'm most excited about is for the people who are actually willing to transition. So, goals for me is to help provide them with the tools, with the resources, with the experience that I have as I'm still learning a lot of things to help them execute on their goals and become the person that they know they can be, the best version of themselves as I'm on that same journey. So that's what I'm most excited about. And that's
Yeah.
my goal, I
Yeah.
guess.
That's awesome. I mean, I could easily say echo because you and I are in such similar phases of life and very similar entrepreneurial paths at the moment. But excuse me, I would say on a personal level, I'm really excited that this last year I've been doing basically through trial and error, a lot of research on what works for me nutritionally speaking. It's been a pain point and a huge obstacle for decades. And I'm at the point now where I'm getting ready to start a new program on Monday, but not because it's a new year. That's just like how it happened. But I'm starting a new program, and the focus is all on it's all on muscle building. Like, it's the first time in my entire adult life that I'm starting a program, and my number one goal isn't weight loss. Like, I don't even I don't give a shit what the scale says. I'm super excited to like build muscle, get shredded. I'm eating for maintenance. I'm not eating to be in a like caloric deficit. I've never done that before. And when I think back to like starting this journey 3 something years ago, it all started for me when I decided to get healthy, and I was posting my workout online every day to hold myself accountable. I wasn't even trying to like help anybody else. I was just trying to like, hey, this is really uncomfortable for me. And if I share it this way, it'll make me do it tomorrow and the next day. And sure as shit, there'd be a couple days where I would still work out, but I would forget to post it. People would message me, hey, like, did you work out today? I didn't see your post, because I would put motivational stuff with it.
Yeah.
Peas and rice, guys. Like, instead of watching me work out, like, you could get up, like we could work out together, Anyway, so on a personal level, I'm excited for the game plan that I have to just like bring it back to basics. I'm really excited for that, and hopefully to do it in a way that I can make it duplicatable for other people, because that's the really fun part. Like, it's one thing when you start getting your own results, but when you're able to like duplicate something and share it and actually have it serve and help other people, that I get excited about it. Professionally speaking, I'm starting to kind of turn my focus a little bit, like still focusing on the coaching side, but I'm looking to kind of expand in the speaking and consulting realm. So, we've got big plans. I have an action plan, like I said, that I was working with my business mentor on yesterday. And my focus for 24 is just to be like consistent AF. And if I can be consistent with the habits and the routine, the game plan that I've kind of spelled out with her, 24 is going to be freaking awesome. So I'm pumped. But
Good for you. That's awesome.
yeah, it is. It's exciting. So we'll see. We'll see where it takes us. But for everybody that winds up watching, thank you for joining us for our 3rd episode. Merry everything. Happy New Year. And just remember, whatever the mountain is, we're going to help you scoop it away one shovel at a time. See you guys next time. Go.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and we'll be seeing you next Monday.